जो मैंने बात की सुप्रिया जी से भी और उनकी मिसेज से भी.
These are the latest visuals which are coming from Baramati. We can see a crowd of people who have gathered outside the Baramati hospital to catch a last glimpse of the political leader. And whose news of the plane crash and his untimely death has shaken the entire nation. Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar has died in a plane crash. The aircraft, which had 5 people on board, took off from Mumbai in the morning and was headed to Baramati. And according to flight radar, the aircraft, which was a Learjet 45, was cleared for landing and was attempting a second approach to Baramati when it crashed. And according to eyewitness accounts, the rescue efforts began after the crash, but multiple explosions in quick succession left no chance of survival. Well, Ajit Pawar was headed to Baramati to attend a public rally for the Zilla Parishad elections. And beside Pawar, there were 2 other passengers along with a pilot and a crew member. The DGCA has confirmed that there were no survivors in the crash. A formal investigation has been launched by DGCA and Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, AAIB. Now, visuals from the site showed the wreckage which was scattered across the area with flames and thick smoke rising from the aircraft. We also have visuals from outside the Baramati hospital where crowds have gathered in large numbers to pay their final tributes to the leader, whose untimely death has shaken the entire nation. The latest visuals that you see on your screens right now, they're from outside the the Baramati hospital, where crowds have gathered in large number to get a final glimpse of the fallen political leader Ajit Pawar, who has died in a plane crash when he was traveling from Mumbai to Baramati. All right, and moving on, the fragile ceasefire in Gaza is at a significant crossroads. The remains of the last Israeli hostage in Gaza has returned home. The vital Rafah border crossing is expected to reopen soon. Focus now shifts to the implementation of this next phase. On Monday, Israeli forces brought back the remains of the last captive, Ran Gwili, and with that, the clock in Tel Aviv's hostage square went dark at last. This was after 843 days, 12 hours and 6 minutes. It recorded every second the captives remained in Gaza under captivity.
October 7th, the longest day of our lives, is over. This hour here in the square, which counted seconds, minutes, hours, days, and 2 years of fear and worry, powerfully reminds us that every second in hell is eternity. This clock has now stopped.
The return of Gwili's remains meets Israel's final condition for reopening of Rafah corridor. The Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt is the Palestinian territory's only gateway to the outside world that does not lead to Israel. It is a key entry point for both people and goods.
We are waiting for the crossing and for God's mercy. We hope the crossing will open for the injured and sick. Here we are, lying in the street with no medicine, no doctors, nothing. We are in the street, waiting for the crossing to open.
Now, Israel has said that it would only allow pedestrians to travel through the crossing as part of its limited reopening.
Rafah will be open both directions. The numbers are, I don't remember the exact number, 50 plus family members. I think coming in, coming out, more or less, more if people want to leave. We are not going to prevent anyone from leaving.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel would now shift focus to disarming Hamas and demilitarizing Gaza. He said that no reconstruction work would take place in Gaza until those two missions were accomplished. Netanyahu also vowed to block the establishment of a Palestinian state in Gaza, insisting Israel would maintain security control over both it and the occupied West Bank.
I also hear now the statements that we will allow the rehabilitation of Gaza before disarmament. That will not happen. I hear that we will bring in Turkish and Qatari soldiers to Gaza. That will not happen either. I hear that I will allow the establishment of a Palestinian state in Gaza. That did not happen, and it will not happen.
Well, under the ceasefire, the day-to-day governance of Gaza is to be handed to a Palestinian technocratic body with U.S. oversight. Hamas says it is ready to hand over governance to the 15-member National Committee for the Administration of Gaza and its chair, Ali Shad. But a report suggests that Hamas is seeking to incorporate its 10,000 police officers into the new administration. Israel is likely to oppose any such move. Israel considers both the military wing of Hamas and its police and internal security forces as terrorists. Another news, a boat carrying French tourists capsized off the coast of Oman, killing 3 people and injuring 2 others. Police said the boat was carrying 25 French tourists, a tour guide and a captain when it capsized. The boat was reportedly 2.5 nautical miles from the Sultan Qaboos port in the Gulf of Oman, where it tipped over. Omani police released a video showing a Royal Navy ship at sea near an overturned boat. Photos released by the Civil Defense and Ambulance Authority showed an ambulance at scene and Omani rescue members carrying a body on stretcher. Oman's foreign ministry expressed its condolences and deepest sympathy to the government and people of France, as well as to the families of the victims, and wished the injured a speedy recovery. The ministry added that investigations are underway to determine the circumstances of the incident. On the eastern edge of the Arabian Peninsula, Oman draws tourists from around the world for its diving and natural beauty. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is heading to China, marking the first visit to the country by a British leader in 8 years. And the trip comes as part of a bid to mend strained ties with China and reduce UK's dependence on the United States. Starmer is accompanied by Business Secretary Peter Kyle and dozens of corporate leaders. During the 3-day visit, Starmer is expected to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang in Beijing. He will then travel to Shanghai before making a brief stop in Japan. The UK is seeking Chinese technology and investment, as well as greater access to China for UK financial services, cars and Scotch whisky. Both UK and China are looking to stabilize their ties with a focus on trade and cooperation on global issues such as climate change. Notably, the visit also comes days after Starmer government approved plans for China's mega embassy in central London. Starmer has rejected objections and warnings that the embassy could facilitate espionage activities. The UK Prime Minister has said that even as China poses national security threats to Britain, closer business ties with Beijing were in the national interest. Analysts say that while the United States may play a role in shaping the trip, both Beijing and London are expected to focus on a broad range of bilateral issues. Listen to this.
Probably the US will absolutely play some level of role in the way that both Beijing and the UK are thinking about this trip. But I also think I would caution against over-interpreting this through a China-US lens. I think there is so much going on in the UK-China bilateral in its own right. And as I say, it's been 8 years since we've had a prime minister out there. There's a lot of issues, both challenges and opportunities that need to be worked through on that side too. So I imagine it will be in the back of both their heads. But I think also there's quite a long list of things that both sides will be focusing on as well.
Since Starmer's election in 2024, the Labour leader has made resetting relations with China a key priority, following a deterioration in ties under previous governments.
This is a significant trip. It's the first visit by British Prime Minister to China since 2018. And it's an attempt by Starmer to put relations on a more even keel after a decade in which they went from a brief golden era, proclaimed by David Cameron when he was Prime Minister in 2015, to a deep chill as issues such as China's human rights record, its support for Russia in its war in Ukraine, the future of Taiwan, and claims about Chinese espionage in the UK have caused a real rift between the two countries.
And with that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. For more news and updates, keep watching Beyond World is One.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts, and the culture developments as well.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Beyond World is One. My name is Diksha Bisla and this is Beyond Climate Track, where we take a look at the top climate stories making headlines across the world. A deep freeze has gripped large swathes of the US after a monster storm killed at least 35 people from the northeast to the deep south. The causes include hypothermia as well as accidents related to traffic, sledding, all-terrain vehicles. In Texas, 3 brothers ages 6, 8 and 9 died after falling through an icy pond across the street from a house where they were staying. Electricity is slowly turning across the south, but according to the tracking site poweroutage.com, more than 540,000 customers still remained without power as of Tuesday morning. Tennessee, Texas, Mississippi and Louisiana in the south were especially impacted. More than 9,000 flights were disrupted as the storm paralyzed transportation across the country. And according to preliminary figures on the National Weather Service's Snowfall Reports tool, the heaviest snowfall of 31 inches occurred in Bonito Falls, New Mexico, followed by East Napa Nock in upstate New York, where 30 inches of snow fell. The National Weather Service says another blast of Arctic air will bring the coldest temperatures in several years and the longest stretch of extreme cold in decades for some areas. Much of the northern half of the country is expected to remain below freezing through February 1st. The agency also warns that record low temperatures could hit southern states, which are less prepared to handle severe cold weather. And Storm Chandra hit the UK and the island, bringing destructive winds, heavy rain and widespread flooding. Storm Chandra is the third storm to hit the British Isles this year after Goretti and Ingrid, which brought significant damage and disruption. Gusts topping 80 miles per hour knocked out power to tens of thousands of homes, closed more than 300 schools and forced cancellation of flights, ferries and trains. In and around Devon and England, cars and homes were submerged by flood waters when the River Axe broke its back. A severe flood warning has also been issued in the area.
As you can see, it's flooded. It's up to my waist with water. All my furniture's down, all in my kitchen, can't get downstairs. And yeah, so I've had to climb out the window.
Storm Chandra brought severe flooding to the town of Topsham, with residents using buckets and sandbags against rising river levels. While in Dawlish, powerful waves crashed onto train tracks and broke coastal walls, highlighting the storm's destructive impact along England's southwest coast. National Rail has warned passengers that severe weather could disrupt journeys across England, Scotland and Wales until Friday. As of Tuesday evening, there were hundreds of flood warnings in place across the UK, including 95 in England. In Northern Ireland, heavy rains and powerful winds from Storm Chandra continue to batter the region. And this has caused widespread disruption, flight cancellations, closure of schools and severe flooding. Cars were partly submerged in Armagh as flood warnings line the roads. While in Ballymena, rugby pitches disappeared under rising water. Rivers burst their banks in Antrim and Broshane, inundating playgrounds and car parks. While in Moira, traffic pushed through deep flood waters as diggers worked to clear roads under police supervision. Ireland was also hit by Storm Chandra. The storm brought strong winds, heavy rains and massive flooding. The Electricity Supply Board reported around 20,000 homes, farms and businesses were without power. Several roads and schools were closed, while public transport services were disrupted. And according to reports, Belfast's Lanyon Palace rail station shut due to the conditions, and Irish Rail suspended services between Enniscorthy and Wexford.
I've been on the middle of the road since 7 a.m. this morning, stopping traffic this way and this way, because if the traffic was coming through, the waves were coming into the house. And it progressively got worse. There was no sandbags in the place. The Wexford County Council told us the guards couldn't help us, the Wexford County Council couldn't help us at that time, until that man there, who's from the Wexford County, came with sandbags.
A powerful winter storm has blanketed Moscow in heavy snow, disrupting travel and breaking records. Authorities have warned that residents will have to brace for more snow and freezing temperatures in the days ahead. Snowplows and graders worked around the clock on Sunday to clear Moscow's snow-blocked streets after a massive storm dumped more than 11 centimeters of snow overnight. In some neighborhoods, snowdrifts piled up to half a meter high, and residents were seen shoveling out cars and trudging through snow-covered sidewalks. Even the iconic Red Square was blanketed with snow. Excavators loaded drifts into dump trucks headed for melting stations. The authorities urged people to avoid driving, while warning commuters could take twice as long. The winter storm also disrupted air travel. Sheremetyevo Airport has diverted incoming flights on Tuesday morning before restoring singular service just hours later. While other airports stayed open, widespread delays rippled across the capital's flight schedules as blizzard conditions made flying difficult. On the ground, traffic slowed to a crawl. Officials urged citizens to leave their cars at home and take the metro instead. The city's transportation department warned that driving could double or even triple commute times, with snow removal adding another half hour. Meteorologists said that the storm broke a daily snowfall record for January 27, which was last set in 1995. And in Sicily, more than 1,500 people have been evacuated from the town of Nisemi after a massive landslide left homes teetering on the edge of a cliff. Now, officials have warned that the situation remains dangerous as violent storms continue to batter southern Italy. Nisemi, which is a town of around 25,000 people in Sicily, sits on a plateau which is gradually collapsing under the plane below. Heavy rains saturated the subsoil, triggering a landslide that ripped away large sections of the slope. Entire buildings were left perched precariously, with one car hanging over the edge inside a damaged structure. The sudden evacuations fueled anger and anxiety, with some residents saying that landslides had been ignored earlier. Listen to this.
We are out of our home. It's normal to be nervous. How should we feel? We've been out of the house for 3 days. We have nothing to say.
We had a landslide here also 30 years ago, and nobody ever did anything. This house was built 43 years ago, and there has never been any movement. 30 years ago, the major landslide commission came to inspect the house, and they said everything was fine, everything normal. Today, after 30 years, this landslide appears, and before this, no one had ever done anything about it, from the first mayor back then, when it first happened, until now.
Italy's civil protection chief announced that residents in the affected areas will be permanently relocated as the landslide remains active. Authorities confirmed that all households within a 4-kilometer radius have been evacuated.
One thing is certain, the landslide is absolutely still active. I myself documented it with my phone while I was carrying out the inspection. It's clear to everyone that the situation is really very, very complicated. I don't know whether they will collapse or not, but let's be clear. If a house is on the edge, it cannot be occupied.
The Italian government on Monday declared a state of emergency for Sicily, Sardinia and Calabria after violent storms triggered landslides and flooding, forcing mass evacuations, and the government has allocated about $108 million for immediate relief. The local officials estimate that the damages are at more than $1 billion, with extreme weather events striking Italy more often. Officials warn that landslides and floods are now threatening areas once considered safe, like Nisemi. Snowfall across India's Himalayan region and widespread rain have pushed North India into a wetter phase of winter. Delhi recorded its rainiest January in 4 years, while Kashmir was blanketed by heavy snow. In Jammu and Kashmir, Sonmarg, an avalanche swept through Sarbal area late Tuesday night. The snowslide buried houses, hotels and vehicles in the popular tourist town, and officials have not confirmed any casualties so far. Fresh snowfall in Jammu and Kashmir forced the closure of the Jammu-Srinagar National Highway, with snow blocking the Navyug Tunnel At Kazigund and Banihal, air traffic is also severely hit. All 58 scheduled flights at Srinagar International Airport were cancelled yesterday. Rail services between Banihal and Budgam was also suspended for several hours before resuming. Weather agency has predicted heavy snowfall in the higher reaches of Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir in the coming days. A fresh western disturbance is likely to affect northwest India from the night of 30th January. The national capital has witnessed rain and thunderstorms for the last 2 days. The Indian Meteorological Department has issued a red alert for Delhi, warning residents about thunderstorms, strong winds and possible hail. Meanwhile, Delhi's air quality showed a slight improvement today, with the AQI settling at 273. However, the Central Pollution Control Board has warned that despite the marginal dip, pollution levels continue to be in poor category. Imagine a thick green rainforest, towering trees, dense ferns, swampy ground and not a single glacier in sight. Now here's the twist. This rainforest did not exist in the tropics. It existed in Antarctica. The coldest, most hostile continent on Earth today was once warm, wet and very much alive. Scientists now say that around 90 million years ago, during the age of dinosaurs, Antarctica sat under a temperate rainforest less than 1,000 kilometers from the South Pole. A major scientific study analyzed fossil soil, roots, pollen and spores extracted from deep beneath the seafloor near West Antarctica. What they found was staggering. The soil layers were once part of a living forest floor. Fossilized roots show a dense web of vegetation. Pollen and spores point to conifers, ferns and even flowering plants. In short, this was not a barren landscape. This was a complex, thriving ecosystem. Scientists estimate that the average annual temperature near the South Pole was around 12 degrees Celsius. Summer temperatures may have climbed to 19 or even 20 degrees, similar to what we see today in part of Wales. And all of this happened during long polar nights, months of darkness each year, where the sun barely rose above the horizon. So the question is, what made that possible? And the answer lies in Earth's ancient atmosphere. The period is known as the Cretaceous greenhouse, the warmest climate phase the planet has seen in the last 140 million years. Carbon dioxide levels were far higher than today. There were no massive ice sheets. Heat was trapped more effectively in the atmosphere, and the result was even the poles were warm enough for forests to flourish. Modern Antarctica is locked under kilometers of ice. Temperatures plunge far below freezing, and carbon dioxide levels, while rising rapidly, are still very much lower than they were back then. Scientists say this ancient rainforest looks similar to modern temperate forests in New Zealand, wet, swampy, and bursting with life. This lost forest, which is a powerful reminder of how sensitive Earth's climate system really is. Global warming is a major concern. The use of fossil fuels is under scanner. Heat waves have become commonplace. And the World Meteorological Organization revealed that 2025 was one of the 3 warmest years on record. Now, fresh research points at an alarming scenario for 2050, and this as per a new study published by researchers from Oxford University in Nature Sustainability Journal. The share of people exposed to dangerously hot conditions could double from 23% in 2010 to 41% by 2050. Nearly 3.79 billion people are at risk. And according to the research, this is based on a scenario where global average temperatures rise by 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels due to the current levels of oil, coal and gas use. As of 2010, around 1.54 billion were living in regions classified as experiencing extreme heat. Researchers estimated that India, Nigeria, Indonesia, Bangladesh, Pakistan and Philippines are said to have the largest populations living under extreme heat. As the heat exposure rises sharply, the study estimates that countries like Nigeria and Brazil are likely to see the largest increase in cooling needs per person. On the other hand, nations such as Canada and Russia are projected to see the biggest decrease in heating needs. The study has also released an open-source global data set of heating and cooling demand, which will help governments to integrate climate risk into development policies. As the Earth edges closer to more warming, it is apparent that the era of extreme heat is not a future problem, but a rapidly unfolding reality. The fourth edition of India Energy Week officially kicked off in Goa on Tuesday, bringing together policymakers, industry leaders, and innovators from across the world, all under one roof. The aim is clear: to tackle the most pressing challenges facing the global energy sector, and at a time when the transition to cleaner, more sustainable fuels is no longer optional but urgent. Organized under the patronage of the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas and jointly hosted by the Federation of Indian Petroleum Industry, India Energy Week has returned to Goa for the second time. After the state hosted the event in 2024 and this year, the focus is firmly on the future. This time, huge emphasis has been on the critical role of green hydrogen in building a sustainable, low-carbon future, signaling how serious New Delhi is betting on emerging energy solutions. Green hydrogen mobility, in fact, continues to steal the spotlight. After making the headlines in the previous edition, green hydrogen-powered buses are once again at the center of attention this year, offering a glimpse into what clean public transport could look like in the years ahead. And for more on this, our correspondent Dharamjot Kaur, who went inside the green hydrogen bus at India Energy Week, has sent us this report. Take a look.
We're here at India Energy Week 2026 in Goa, and one of the main attractions clearly is the hydrogen bus. Now, it looks like an ordinary bus, but this is one of the projects that India is considering for the near future in terms of using greener and more sustainable energy. The question is, can it? To what extent can it be deployed? India, as we know, is a very diverse country. It's a country with a massive population and different kinds of geography as well. Can a hydrogen bus be distributed and deployed across the country in the near future? What is the cost? What is the affordability? And how much of that cost really trickles down to the everyday customer? Now, India does have a sustainable goal and an energy diversification goal, but at the end of the day, how it really serves the people in the coming years is going to be the key question. With video journalist Ajit at India Energy Week in Goa, this is Dharamjot Kaur for WION The World is One.
Well, these were all the climate stories we had for you today. Now, let's take a look at some of the other stories making headlines across the world. Scientists have created the most detailed map ever made of dark matter using data from the James Webb Space Telescope. And the findings offer new insight into the hidden forces shaping galaxies and help explain how dark matter made life in the universe possible. Watch our next report to know more.
It holds galaxies together. It is everywhere, and yet it has never been seen. It shapes the universe, yet emits no light. At first glance, it looks like a field of faint blue glimmers floating in the dark, scattered like ghostly lights across the night sky. But this image is not a photograph of visible stars or galaxies. It's a map of something entirely invisible: dark matter. Dark matter doesn't emit, reflect, or absorb light, but it does have mass, and that means it exerts gravity.
We created the most detailed ever made map of dark matter for a small patch of the universe. So dark matter is this invisible architect of the universe. And even if it's invisible, we can observe it indirectly through the effect it has on the stars in the background, and in particular, its gravity.
Dark matter makes up nearly 85% of all matter in the universe. Without it, galaxies would tear themselves apart. Stars would drift. Cosmic structure would collapse. And for decades, scientists could only infer its presence through gravity, motion, and mathematical fingerprints. Now, that is changing. Using the James Webb Space Telescope, astronomers have produced the most detailed map yet of dark matter's distribution across the universe.
The James Webb Space Telescope is, it's huge, it's in space, but it's basically just a camera. It can take photos of the night sky like you can from your own mobile phone. But it's got this huge lens on it, so it can collect the light from the most distant objects at the far side of the universe. So we can see objects really far away from us, and the resolution on it is just astonishing.
Understanding dark matter is key to understanding the universe's past and its future. It could help explain why galaxies formed when they did, why they look the way they do, and why the universe continues to expand the way it does. Although this map focuses on a single section of the sky, it reveals a pattern that stretches across the universe, that links invisible matter to the galaxies and stars we can see, and even to the conditions that made life possible. For the first time, humanity is not just sensing the universe's invisible skeleton, it is mapping it. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
And with that, it's a wrap on this bulletin. For more news and updates, keep watching WION, World is One.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts, and the culture developments as well.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
WION, India's global voice. The channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts, and the culture developments as well.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Vielleicht nur als Impostant.
Welcome back. You're watching Beyond World is One. I'm Chandra. Let's start with the headlines. Maharashtra government announces 3 days of state mourning following the death of Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar in a plane crash in Baramati. 4 others, including the pilot, also dead. DGCA and AAIB launched the investigation. Budget session of Parliament begins with President Draupadi Murmu addressing the joint sitting. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will table the economic survey tomorrow and present the union budget on Sunday. Russian strikes across Ukraine killed 3 people following attacks on Tuesday night that killed at least 12, including 5 train passengers. President Zelensky condemns the bombardment, saying it undermines peace efforts. A South Korean court sentences former First Lady Kim Kyung-hee to 1 year and 8 months in prison for stock, fraud and corruption, following her husband's imprisonment related to his 2024 martial law declaration. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman tells Iran's President Pezeshkian that Saudi Arabia will not allow its territory or its airspace to be used for attacks on Iran amid uncertainty over possible US military action. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu warns that Israel would retaliate with unprecedented force if Iran attacks, saying Tehran would face consequences it has never encountered. Record-breaking heat wave bakes Australia's southeast for the 5th straight day, fanning bushfires and straining the energy grid. Heat wave is worst since 2009 Black Saturday bushfires that killed 173 people in Victoria. Gold surged to a new record high of above $5,200 an ounce. The yellow metal extended a breakneck rally fueled by US dollar weakness after President Trump shrugged off concerns of a deep fall in the currency. Our top focus at this hour, the tragic incident that took place in Baramati earlier this morning. Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar died in a plane crash. The aircraft, a Learjet 45, it took off from Mumbai in the morning and was headed to Baramati. Besides Ajit Pawar, there were 2 other passengers along with 2 crew members. And that includes the pilot. The plane was being flown by Captain Shambhavi Pathak. According to flight radar, the aircraft was clear for landing and it was in fact attempting a second approach to Baramati when it eventually crashed. Eyewitnesses say the rescue efforts began after the crash, but multiple explosions in quick succession left no chance of survival.
दुख भरी दर्द भरी घटना है। ये हमने देखा कि एयरप्लेन जब नीचे आया था ऐसा लग रहा था उसका क्रैश हो जाएगा ऐसा हम सोच रहे थे, तभी क्रैश हो गया। हम देखे कि हमें लगा नहीं क्रैश हो गया है, लेकिन एयर ट्रैप पे उतरेगा ऐसा लगा, उतर रहा है, लेकिन क्रैप हुआ और उसके बाद स्फोट हो गया उसका जबरदस्त। स्फोट होने के बाद वो हम देखने आए, पहले देखा तो उसको आग लगी थी पूरे प्लेन को, और उसके बाद 4-5 स्फोट हो गया विमान में उसका, और उसके बाद बहुत लोग आ गए और उसने निकालने की कोशिश की, लेकिन बड़ी आग लगी उसके कारण कोई मदद नहीं कर सकता, लेकिन सब आ गए। तब बाद में उसको उसमें आजिदा था। ये हमारे लिए बहुत शौक की बात में है कि हमें बता नहीं सकते हम बात में ऐसा, लेकिन हमने देखा है कि पायलट ने भी ट्राई किया होगा कि लैंडिंग करने का, लेकिन लैंडिंग हुआ नहीं है। ये बहुत शौक वाली घटना है। हमने देखा पूरा एक नीचे आ रहा था, ट्रैप पे आ रहा था, ट्रैप के नजदीक 100 फुट से नजदीक आके गिर गया है।
In the latest, we've learnt Maharashtra has declared 3-day mourning in the state. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has cancelled all his programs, and along with Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, they will be departing for Baramati. A formal investigation has been launched by the DGCA, Director General of Civil Aviation, and the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, that is the AAIB. Political reactions have come in from across the political spectrum. Let's take a look at some of the top political leaders and what they feel on this tragic incident.
हम सभी के लिए इस प्रकार के जननेता को खोना एक अपरिमित इस प्रकार की हानि है। व्यक्तिगत मेरे लिए वो एक बहुत ही दमदार और दिलदार इस प्रकार के मित्र थे, और हम दोनों ने साथ में काफ़ी संघर्ष का काल भी देखा है, और अब दृढ़ता के साथ महाराष्ट्र के विकास में जब वो योगदान दे रहे थे और एक बहुत लंबी पारी वो खेलेंगे ऐसी परिस्थिति थी, ऐसे समय उनका निकल जाना, मैं ऐसा मानता हूं कि इसके लिए हमारे पास कोई शब्द भी नहीं है।
खरं म्हणजे असं कुणाच्या स्वप्नातही वाटलं नसेल की अजितदादा एवढ्या लवकर आपल्यातून जातील। ही महाराष्ट्रासाठी अतिशय दुःखद आणि दुर्दैवी घटना अजितदादांच्या जाण्याने झालेली आहे. त्यांच्यासोबत मी मंत्रिमंडळात देखील काम केलं. मी मुख्यमंत्री असताना त्यांनी उपमुख्यमंत्री म्हणून देखील काम केलं.
समस्त पवार परिवार और जितने भी समर्थक हैं उनको हमारी तरफ से संवेदना और शोक. मैंने बात की सुप्रिया जी से भी और उनकी मिसेज से भी.
And these are visuals from earlier this morning after the plane crashed, and these are live visuals that we have from outside the hospital where Ajit Pawar's remains were taken. People have gathered from across the state. Ajit Pawar was known as a grassroots man, a people's man. He had a very different and a close connect with all his admirers, all his followers, and anybody who was in his jurisdiction. What we've learned from people who knew him closely, his political associates and his colleagues, that he was always accessible to people who wanted to meet him. And there you see the number of people that have gathered just outside the hospital, very well aware that Ajit Pawar is no more. These were scenes from earlier in the morning from the crash site. Mangled remains of the Learjet 45 plane. It is a mid-sized plane usually used for VIP routes and for VIP transports. Nothing remained from the aircraft. This is the accident site. There was heavy police deployment soon after. A lot of the locals also gathered. The black box is to be examined. The investigation is underway. And a final confirmation on what really caused this accident, this devastating tragedy, is yet to be made public. What we do know so far is that the plane was on its way to Baramati Airport from Mumbai. That's roughly about a 1-hour flight. Towards the end, the plane was cleared for landing. And while it attempted to land, it is learnt that's when this tragedy happened. What caused it? Well, that's something we are staying clear of any kind of speculation on that. We will wait for the investigations to come in to give a final word. But the tragedy and what remained of the plane is very clear from these visuals. The plane crashed while it was in descent, and this is close to the airport. The Baramati Airport has been in operation since several years. And reactions came in from across the political spectrum. Prime Minister Modi expressed grief, saying Ajit Pawar was a leader of the people, having a strong grassroots level connect. He was widely respected as a hardworking personality at the forefront of serving the people of Maharashtra. We'll track those developments coming in from Baramati as reports are trickling in, details are coming in. As of now, let's move further. The Calcutta High Court has directed the West Bengal government to hand over land along the Indo-Bangladesh border in 9 districts to the Border Security Force by 31st of March. The land along the border was acquired by the West Bengal government for the purpose of fencing. Now, the petitioner contended that out of the over 4,000 kilometers long Indo-Bangladesh border, West Bengal alone accounts for more than 2,200 kilometers, making it the state with the longest international border with Bangladesh. Despite repeated cabinet approvals since 2016, nearly 26% of the border remains unfenced. And this has allegedly facilitated cross-border infiltration, narcotics trafficking, cattle smuggling, and gold smuggling as well, and circulation of fake Indian currency. Now, the data regarding the alleged cross-border infiltration placed before the court were drawn from parliamentary answers. The petitioner further stressed that fencing the border was a matter of defense, sovereignty, national integrity, national security, and urged the court to ensure expeditious acquisition and handover of land to the BSF. And there's more on this from our correspondent Vikram Das from Kolkata.
The state government must hand over the land in 9 border district areas to the central government for the purpose of installation of wide fencing in these border areas within 31st March of this year. The Calcutta High Court said it yesterday and also added that the High Court will not entertain any delay regarding this handover by the state government for the issue of SIR process which is going on in the state since couple of months. Whereas the High Court also said the remaining part where the state government is yet to give approval on the land acquisition will be decided later on by the court, where the two parties, that is the state government and central government, has been asked to submit their affidavit in this regard. For WION, this is Vikram Das from Kolkata.
Nepal's former monarch Gyanendra Shah is on a pilgrimage in Madhesh region, where he performed the puja at the Janki temple. Now, Shah was welcomed by a sea of followers at the historic temple complex. The pilgrimage is seen as an effort by the former monarch to consolidate influence and revive the demand for a constitutional monarchy in Nepal. Shah, accompanied by family members, arrived in Janakpur on Sunday and visited the Janki temple on Monday afternoon, surrounded by enthusiastic supporters and Rashtriya Prajatantra Party activists chanting pro-monarchy slogans. Shah walked approximately half a kilometer to the Sri Ram temple and the nearby Kaldevi temple to perform additional rituals. Now, the visit comes amid Shah's renewed use of royal titles. He is now being addressed as the king instead of former king in communications issued by his office. The shift comes days before Nepal's general elections. Nepal will be heading to polls come March 5th. And there's more on this from Saloni Murarka, our correspondent, sending us this report directly from Kathmandu, Nepal.
As Nepal is heading towards elections in March, political activity is gaining momentum across the country, especially in Madhesh province. Former monarch Gyanendra Shah's visit to the region is making talks in the political circles, with many seeing it as an attempt to revive calls for constitutional monarch and to reassert his influence in the public. Many political activists and analysts highlight on the timing of this visit, as the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party, the only party that has been openly advocating for the return of monarch, is stepping up its election push. Madhesh province is emerging to be a key electoral battleground, with several key leaders choosing to launch their campaign from this region. Rashtriya Swatantra Party leader Balin Shah had launched his campaign from Janakpur, starting by visiting the Janaki temple. I'm Saloni Murarka reporting for WION from Kathmandu, Nepal.
Former Nigerian oil minister Diezani Alison Madueke went on trial in a London court after being accused of taking bribes. Prosecutors say the ex-minister allegedly took bribes including luxury goods and the use of high-end properties from industry figures interested in lucrative oil and gas contracts. Over £2 million was allegedly spent on behalf of Alison Madueke at Harrods using the payment cards of a Nigerian businessman. Among other benefits, she allegedly received £4.6 million that was spent on refurbishing properties in London and Buckinghamshire. She has also been accused of accepting lavish gifts, including cars and properties, and is alleged to be provided with a life of luxury in the United Kingdom. However, she has pleaded not guilty to all these charges. She was the Minister of Petroleum Resources between 2010 and 2015 under then-President Goodluck Jonathan. The trial is now expected to last about 12 weeks. Oil plays a significant role in Nigeria's economy, but the population at large has not seen these benefits. It is one of the 13 members of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries set up to deal with the worldwide supply of oil and its price. And for more on this, our correspondent Louisa Ulani sent us these details and this report from Lagos.
With pending court cases in Nigeria and the US, the former Nigerian Petroleum Minister Diziani Alison Madueke on Tuesday began trial in multiple bribery charges at the London court. She's noted in Nigeria as accepting the highest bribes in the Nigeria oil industry, amounting to millions of dollars, leading Nigerian courts to seize a number of her properties. Analysts believe this isn't just about one woman, as this trial puts a spotlight on London itself, often called a safe haven for dirty money and the UK professionals who enable it. Most Nigerians await patiently to see the outcome, as the UK court hinted that her fate is to be determined before mid-year. From Lagos, Nigeria, Louisa Olaniyi, WION World is One.
South Africa is considering sharply increasing tariffs on imported vehicles from China and India. Bloomberg first reported that this proposal is under review. The proposed tariffs could see duties on completely built-up passenger vehicles raised to as much as 50% from the current levels of near 25%. That's double. Now, the move is aimed at a range of measures to curb rising inbound shipments from the two Asian manufacturing hubs, which now make up a dominant share of vehicle imports. In 2024, vehicles from China accounted for over half of the total vehicle imports into South Africa, while Indian vehicles made up over 1/5. For perspective, Indian shipments have increased about 135% in the last 5 years. South African policymakers argue that the surge in imports has squeezed margins for local producers and undercut domestic manufacturing. Other fiscal measures under consideration include revisiting excise duties on luxury cars and adjusting rebate mechanisms used by the auto sector. For Indian automakers, steeper tariffs could have significant implications. Higher duties would raise the landed cost of vehicles, likely weakening price competitiveness against locally assembled and domestically produced vehicles. And this could slow export growth, reduce sales volumes, and compress profit margins in a key African market where cost-sensitive customers have increasingly favored imports. The shift might also prompt Indian manufacturers to consider deeper localization strategies to mitigate tariff impact and sustain market presence. And our correspondent Kaldin Ongmu sent us this report from Johannesburg for more on this.
If you look around the streets of South Africa, it's evident that South Africans are buying a whole lot of Chinese cars primarily for their unmatched value for money. But this has not done well for the local markets. And now authorities are mulling, reviewing its tariff policy after a sharp rise in vehicles imports from China and India, prompting officials to weigh duties of up to 50% to protect local manufacturers. Higher import duties are intended to level the playing field for South African assemblers who have faced margin pressure as cheap imports flood the market. The tariff review will involve the National Treasury and may affect border trade relations with the BRICS bloc, of which South Africa, China and India are members. Adjustments are expected to be presented to the Parliament after the internal assessment is completed. This is Kaldin Ongmu from Johannesburg, South Africa for WION World is One.
Snowfall across India's Himalayan region and widespread rain has pushed North India into a wetter phase of this prolonged winter. Delhi recorded its rainiest January in 4 years, while Kashmir was blanketed with heavy snow. In Jammu and Kashmir, Sonmarg, an avalanche swept through Sarbal area. Late on Tuesday night, the snow slide buried houses, hotels and even vehicles in the popular tourist town. Officials have not confirmed any casualties. Fresh snowfall in Jammu and Kashmir forced the closure of the Jammu-Srinagar National Highway, with snow blocking the Navyug tunnel at Kazigund and Banihal. Air traffic is also severely hit. All 58 scheduled flights at Srinagar International Airport were cancelled. Rail services between Banihal and Budgam were also suspended for several hours before resuming. Weather agency has predicted heavy snowfall in the higher reaches of Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Ladakh and Jammu and Kashmir in the days to come. A fresh western disturbance is likely to affect northwest India from the night of 30th January. The national capital has witnessed rain and thunderstorms for the last 2 days. The Indian Meteorological Department issued a red alert for Delhi, warning residents about thunderstorms, strong winds and possible hail. Meanwhile, Delhi's air quality showed a slight improvement, with the AQI settling at about 273. However, the Central Pollution Control Board, CPCB, has warned that despite the marginal dip, pollution levels continue to be in the poor category. And there's more on this from our senior special correspondent Idris Sloan, who sent us this report from Jammu and Kashmir.
An avalanche hit the tourist spot Sonmarg in central Kashmir's Gandarbal district on Tuesday night. The avalanche was caught on CCTV cameras across by different hotels, and it covered all of them and created a very massive visual. But the authorities said that the avalanche was of low intensity and there was no damage to any of the properties or individual during the avalanche. However, the Met Department has issued advisory saying the higher reaches of Jammu and Kashmir witnessed fresh snowfall in the last few days, and there are prone to avalanches in the coming few days, and people living in higher reaches have now been advised that they should stay away from these avalanche prone areas. On the other hand, the government is also working on clearing the roads that have been disconnected due to heavy snowfall in different parts of the Kashmir Valley. The Met Department says that for the next 24 hours, there are chances of rain and snow again at some isolated places and higher reaches. However, the Srinagar airport was functional after there was some delay in the flights in the morning, but after that the flights have started landing as well as taking off from the Srinagar airport. The authorities are now working on clearing the snow on the highways so that the surface traffic would be resumed as well. With video journalist Firoz, Idris Sloan for WION World is One.
Next, let's get you the latest updates from entertainment. Composer Philip Glass has called off a scheduled world premiere at the Kennedy Center of a symphony about Abraham Lincoln. This is the latest in a wave of cancellations since Donald Trump ousted the previous leadership. A statement from Glass read, I quote from it, Symphony number 15 is a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, and the values of the Kennedy Center today are in direct conflict with the message of the symphony. Therefore, I feel an obligation to withdraw the symphony premiere from the Kennedy Center under its current leadership. South Korean singer and actor Woo publicly apologized over allegations of large-scale tax evasion, pledging to cooperate fully with authorities in a statement posted on his official social media account. Cha Woo said the controversy had prompted serious self-reflection on whether his approach to his tax obligations has been sufficiently rigorous. He further said, I quote from it, I sincerely bow my head in apology for causing so many of you concern and disappointment. All right, viewers, that's a wrap on this bulletin. Thanks so much for tuning in. Short break now. Stay with us.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
and welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts, and the culture developments as well.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
Vielleicht nur als Imposant.
Welcome back to WION World is One. You're watching Speed News with me, Vidur Kathuria. Let's get started. Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar has died in a plane crash. The aircraft, which had 5 on board, took off from Mumbai in the morning and was headed to Baramati. Besides Pawar, there were 2 other passengers, along with the crew member and the pilot. Captain Shambhavi Pathak was the pilot of the plane. Eyewitnesses say rescue efforts began after the crash, but multiple explosions in quick succession left no chance of survival. A formal investigation has been launched by DGCA and the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau AAIB.
इकडे ह्या साईडला एक स्पेअर ॲम्ब्युलन्स पाहिजे ना.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed shock over the untimely death of Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar. In a post on X, PM Modi said that Ajit Pawar was a leader of the people who had a strong grassroots level connection. He was widely respected as a hard-working personality at the forefront of serving the people of Maharashtra. His understanding of administrative matters and passion for empowering the poor and downtrodden were also noteworthy. His untimely demise is very shocking and saddening. Condolences to his family and countless admirers. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar's aircraft was attempting a second approach to Baramati Airport when it crashed this morning, according to flight tracking website Flight Radar 24. The aircraft, a Learjet 45, was operated by a private company, VSR Ventures. It crashed around 8:45 a.m., killing 66-year-old Ajit Pawar and 4 other people on board. Ajit Pawar's plane reportedly lost control and crashed while landing at Baramati Airport. The aircraft caught fire after the crash. US President Donald Trump has said another US armada was on its way towards Iran. However, he said he hopes it would not have to be used. This renews US warnings to Tehran against killing protesters or restarting its nuclear program. Addressing a crowd, the US president hoped that Tehran makes a deal with Washington. The warships began moving from the Asia-Pacific region last week as tensions between Iran and US escalated following a harsh crackdown on protests across Iran in recent months. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman told Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian that the Gulf monarchy would not allow attacks on Iran to be launched from its soil. During a call, the Saudi prince affirmed Riyadh's position on respecting the sovereignty of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Saudi's foreign ministry has said the Saudi kingdom will not allow its airspace or its territory to be used for any military actions against Iran. The Saudi move follows UAE's foreign ministry's statement. This complicates the Trump administration's options in response to Tehran's violent crackdown against Iranian protesters. The US has announced a major multi-day Air Force exercise in West Asia as Washington and Tehran face off over Iran's deadly crackdown on anti-government demonstrations. This comes a day after the US military said the Abraham Lincoln Carrier strike group had arrived, which dramatically boosted American firepower in the region. The US Air Force component of the Central Command said the exercise will demonstrate the ability to deploy, disperse, and sustain combat air power across West Asia. No date or exact location for the exercise has been released. US President Donald Trump said the United States would no longer help Iraq if it picks Nouri al-Maliki as its prime minister. The alliance of Shiite political blocs that holds a majority in Iraq's parliament announced last week the selection of former PM as its nominee for the post. Meanwhile, the alliance said that the former prime minister was picked based on his political and administrative experience and his role in managing the state. He previously served 2 terms as Iraq's prime minister from 2006 to 2014, a period marked by sectarian violence, a power struggle with Sunni and Kurdish rivals, amid growing tensions with the US. The vital Rafah border crossing is expected to reopen soon, this after Israeli forces brought back the remains of the last captive Ran Gvili. Israel has said it would only allow pedestrians to travel through the crossing as part of its limited reopening. This after the return of Gvili's remains meets Israel's final condition for reopening of Rafah corridor. The Rafah crossing between Gaza and Egypt is the Palestinian territory's only gateway to the outside world that does not lead to Israel. US President Donald Trump says he'll de-escalate a little bit in Minnesota. He described his position as not a pullback, it's a little bit of a change. In an interview with Fox News, Trump has said the killings of Rene Good and Alex Pretty were terrible, but adds Good may have been radicalized earlier. Democratic House leaders threatened to impeach Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem over the immigration crackdown if Trump did not fire her.
Tuck in, meet your neighbors, because again, hey, remember.
A man approached US Representative Ilhan Omar during a town hall meeting in Minneapolis, sprayed an unidentified liquid in her direction, and shouted at her before being tackled by security. The disruption occurred days after the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Alex Pretty by federal immigration agents during an attempted detention. an incident that has fueled protests and heightened tensions in the city. Omar was not injured, and authorities have not said what substance was sprayed or whether charges have been filed. US President Donald Trump rallied supporters in Iowa as he worked to shore up support in a Midwestern political battleground just south of neighboring Minnesota. This is an area where a confrontation was escalating over the aggressive tactics of federal immigration agents. Trump traveled to Iowa to rally his stalwart rural supporters in a state that hosts key congressional races in November. Mounting stress in the farm economy and delays in biofuel policy are testing the patience of farmers and renewable fuel producers. While Trump tries to convince voters he is bringing costs down, his White House is embroiled in a crisis in neighboring Minnesota. India and the European Union have struck a long-delayed deal that will slash tariffs on most goods, aiming to boost two-way trade and reduce reliance on the United States amid growing global trade tensions. The deal is expected to double EU exports to India by 2032 by eliminating or reducing tariffs in 96.6% of traded goods by value, and will lead to savings of $4.75 billion in duties for European companies. The two-decade-long EU-India trade talks gained momentum after Washington imposed a 50% tariff on some Indian goods, and as US allies pushed back against President Donald Trump's tariff threats and his bid to take over Greenland. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is heading to China, marking the first visit to the country by a British leader in 8 years. The trip comes as part of a bid to mend strained ties with China and reduce UK's dependence on the United States. During the 3-day visit, Starmer is expected to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang in Beijing. He will then travel to Shanghai before making a brief stop in Japan. Both UK and China are looking to stabilize ties with a focus on trade and cooperation on global issues such as climate change. Colombian President Gustavo Petro said Venezuela's ousted president Nicolas Maduro must be returned from the US to his country to be tried by a court in the oil-producing nation. Maduro is being held in a New York prison after his capture in Caracas by US forces in early January, in an operation ordered by US President Donald Trump. Petro's remarks came a week before a trip to Washington, where he will meet Trump for the first time. This after maintaining tense relations since the US president took office in 2025. Before agreeing to the White House meetings, Trump repeatedly accused Petro, without evidence, of allowing a steady flow of cocaine into the US. A boat carrying 25 French tourists has capsized off the coast of Oman, killing at least 3 and injuring 2. Authorities are investigating the incident. French Foreign Ministry has expressed sorrow over the deaths. The boat was 2.5 nautical miles from Sultan Qaboos port in the Gulf of Oman when it tipped over. The families of 2 Trinidadian nationals killed in an October airstrike are suing the US government for wrongful death and extrajudicial killings. 2 men from a small fishing village in Trinidad, namely Chad Joseph and Rishi Samaru, were among the 6 killed in a US military airstrike on a small boat in the Caribbean Sea on 14th October. Back then, US President Donald Trump had alleged that the men killed in the US strikes were narco-terrorists. However, the lawsuit disputes his claim, contending that the law of war cannot apply since the strike occurred outside any active armed conflict. Cubans held their traditional March of the Torches on the night of January 27th to honor the 172nd anniversary of the birth of national independence hero Jose Marti. The annual event, which takes place on the eve of his birthday, serves as both a tribute to the Cuban independence and a demonstration of revolutionary unity. Storm Chandra hit the UK and Ireland, bringing destructive winds, heavy rain, and widespread flooding. Storm Chandra is the third storm to hit the British Isles this year after Goretti and Ingrid, which brought significant damage and disruption. Gusts topping 80 miles per hour knocked out power to tens of thousands of homes, closed more than 300 schools, and forced cancellations of flights, ferries, and trains. In and around Devon in England, cars and homes were submerged by floodwaters. A severe flood warning has been issued in the area. A deep freeze has gripped large swathes of the US after a monster storm killed at least 35 people from the northeast to the deep south. The causes include hypothermia as well as accidents related to traffic, sledding, all-terrain vehicles. Electricity began blinking back on across the south, but according to the tracking site poweroutage.com, as of Tuesday, more than 540,000 customers remained without power. More than 9,000 flights were disrupted as the storm paralyzed transportation across the country. Tennessee, Texas, Mississippi, and Louisiana in the south were especially impacted. Heavy snowfall blanketed many areas. More than 1,500 people have been evacuated from the Sicilian town of Nisemi after a major landslide triggered by violent storms left homes teetering on the edge of a cliff. Nisemi, a town of about 25,000 in south-central Sicily, sits on a plateau that authorities say is gradually collapsing towards the plain below, driven by water that remains in the subsoil. Footage from the scene showed entire buildings perched on the brink after large sections of the slope gave way. A car was left hanging over the edge, visible from inside a collapsed structure. Atomic scientists set their doomsday clock closer than ever to midnight. They did so by citing aggressive behavior by nuclear powers Russia, China, and the United States, fraying nuclear arms control, conflicts in Ukraine and West Asia, as well as worries over AI among factors driving risks for global disaster. The scientists also pointed at rising tensions in the Western Hemisphere since US President Donald Trump returned to office 12 months ago. The bulletin of the atomic scientists set the clock to 85 seconds before midnight, the theoretical point of annihilation. That is 4 seconds closer than it was set last year. US President Donald Trump said the value of the US dollar is great when asked about its recent decline, even though the dollar has fallen to its lowest in about 4 years against a basket of major currencies. His comments in Iowa came as the dollar index dropped sharply and markets saw weaker sentiment, partly due to expectations of Fed rate cuts, trade policy uncertainty, and rising deficits. Trump said he doesn't want the dollar to weaken further and prefers it to seek its own level. The currency drop can help exporters but makes imports more expensive and could add inflationary pressure. US President Trump said he will soon announce his pick for the next Federal Reserve chair and predicted interest rates would fall once the new leader is in place. Markets and prediction platforms now see BlackRock's Rick Rider as the frontrunner to succeed current chair Jerome Powell, reflecting expectations that Trump wants someone aligned with lowering borrowing costs. Though this raises concerns about the Fed's independence, meanwhile, Fed officials appear unusually unified ahead of a policy meeting and are widely expected to keep rates unchanged for now, balancing cooler inflation with a slowing labor market, even as political pressure mounts over future rate direction and leadership. India's upcoming budget is set to require record-high government borrowing, which is putting pressure on the country's bond yields, pushing the benchmark 10-year yield up to multi-month highs as investors brace for heavy supply. This surge in supply may keep borrowing costs elevated and challenge market appetite, even as the Reserve Bank of India has stepped in with liquidity support and accelerated bond purchases to calm yields. The situation highlights the balancing act between funding fiscal plans and managing bond market stability ahead of the February 1st budget announcement. Precious silver prices have surged in an extreme rally, prompting the CME Group to raise margin requirements on silver and other metals futures to curb risk as record volatility shakes the market. At the same time, gold hits another milestone, surging past $5,200 an ounce, buoyed by geopolitical uncertainty, a weaker dollar and safe haven debasement flows stride to investors' fears about fiscal and monetary policy under Trump. The combination of wild price swings and higher collateral costs is squeezing leveraged traders, while both metals attract strong investment demand. The British government has formed a new team of artificial intelligence experts to develop AI tools for transport, public safety and defence. The initiative is funded by Meta as part of the UK's push to build a strong domestic AI industry and boost government productivity. The experts will spend the next year creating open source AI systems to help authorities maintain roads, manage public safety and support national security decisions. The team includes data scientists and university researchers specializing in machine learning, computer vision, robotics, and trustworthy AI systems. The UK's Financial Conduct Authority, or FCA, has launched a review into the impact of advanced artificial intelligence on retail financial markets and consumers. The review will examine how AI could change market structures, competition, and the way financial firms operate. The findings are expected to be presented to the FCA board by mid-2026. The regulator has clarified that it does not plan to introduce AI-specific rules at this stage. FCA Executive Director Sheldon Mills said emerging technologies such as agentic AI, neuromorphic computing, and quantum systems could soon see widespread use in finance. WhatsApp has introduced a new advanced security mode to protect users from hackers and cyber threats. The feature, called Strict Account Settings, is rolling out and can be activated with a single click in the app settings. It blocks media and attachments from unknown senders, disables link previews, and silences calls from unknown contacts. WhatsApp says these features target potential entry points for surveillance and sophisticated hacking attacks. The company says the mode is designed especially for journalists, activists, and public figures who face high-risk digital threats. In tennis, Iga Swiatek's wait for a career Grand Slam will continue. 2022 Wimbledon champion Elena Rybakina defeated the world number 2 in straight sets to reach the Australian Open semi-final. The Kazakh bounced back from early serving issues to down the 6-time Grand Slam champion 7-5, 6-1. The fifth seed is into the semi-finals without dropping a single set in Melbourne. Rybakina has now won 18 of her last 19 matches, with her only loss coming to Karolina Mukova in Brisbane. Chelsea manager Liam Rosenior has dismissed rumours that Cole Palmer could leave the club, calling them unrealistic. The comments came after reports linked the England international with a move to Manchester United. Palmer joined Chelsea from Manchester City in 2023 and quickly became the club's star player. Rosenior said Palmer is untouchable and is happy at Chelsea despite missing the last 2 matches. With a groin injury, Palmer has travelled with the squad to Italy to face Napoli in the Champions League. Composer Philip Glass has called off a scheduled world premiere at the Kennedy Center of a symphony about Abraham Lincoln. This is the latest in a wave of cancellations since President Donald Trump ousted the previous leadership. A statement from Glass read, and I quote, "Symphony number 15 is a portrait of Abraham Lincoln, and the values of the Kennedy Center today are in direct conflict with the message of the symphony. Therefore, I feel an obligation to withdraw this symphony premiere from the Kennedy Center under its current leadership," unquote. South Korean singer and actor Cha Eun-woo publicly apologized over allegations of large-scale tax evasion, pledging to cooperate fully with authorities. In a statement posted on his official social media account, Cha said the controversy had prompted serious self-reflection on whether his approach to his tax obligations has been sufficiently rigorous. He further said, and I quote, "I sincerely bow my head in apology for causing so many of you concern and disappointment," he wrote. Alan Alda, the multi-talented actor, writer and filmmaker who achieved stardom on Broadway, turns 90 today. He famously featured in MASH, the long-running series about a Korean war medical unit. It brought Alda 5 Emmy Awards for actor, writer, director, and defined a life otherwise known for varied TV and film projects and a dedication to liberal causes off-screen. In 2005, he scored his first Oscar nomination as the crooked senator in Martin Scorsese's The Aviator. The wait is over for fans of the 2022 sleeper hit Vad. The trailer for Vad 2 is out. The movie reunites Sanjay Mishra and Neena Gupta. It adheres to its dark theme in its narration. The film is set to hit theaters on February 6th. The makers of actor Vijay Deverakonda's upcoming film VD14 have unveiled the first glimpse of his upcoming movie Ranabali. The movie shows the Indian actor in a fierce avatar held by director Rahul Sankrityan. Ranabali stars Vijay Deverakonda and Rashmika Mandhana in lead roles. It is slated for a theatrical release on September 11th. The trailer for Gandhi Talks has arrived. The movie, which is produced by Z Studios, does not feature a single line of dialogue. The movie is led by Vijay Sethupathi, Arvind Swamy and Aditi Rao Hedri. The silent black comedy explores the tension between Gandhian ideals and the contemporary world. Directed by Kishore Pandurang, a powerful score by A.R. Rahman dominates the spirit of the film. The movie is set to release on January 30th, 2026. That's it on this edition of Speed News. News and updates will continue on the other side of this short break. Keep watching WION World is One.
Where darkness hides behind every corner. Where the truth is stranger than fiction. A show that dives deep into the stories which shock and mystify. Unsolved murders. Psychopaths who defy explanation. International war crimes. And millions swindled in financial fraud. The victims, the accused, and the sinister plot. Prime Crime is your front row seat to darkness.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts, and the culture developments as well.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts, and the culture developments as well.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, world is one.
And welcome to a brand new edition of South India, a daily dynamic show that will capture the pulse of southern states.
By blending the special stories, the breaking alerts, and the culture developments as well.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Beyond World is One with me, Diksha Bisla. Let's start this bulletin by quickly taking a look at the headlines. On the first day of budget session, Indian Parliament pays obituary references to former Bangladesh Prime Minister Khalida Zia, who passed away in December 2025. Condolences expressed after President Draupadi Murmu's address. Maharashtra government announces 3 days of state mourning following the death of Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar in a plane crash in Baramati. 4 others, including pilot, also died. DGCA and AAIB launched investigation into the matter. Russian strikes across Ukraine killed 3 people following attacks on Tuesday night that killed at least 12, including 5 train passengers. President Zelensky condemns bombardment, saying it undermines peace efforts. Japan condemns North Korea's multiple ballistic missile launches, calling it nuclear and missile programs absolutely unacceptable. Missiles launched from near Pyongyang flew about 350 kilometers towards Sea of Japan. A South Korean court sentences former First Lady Kim Kyung-hee to 1 year and 8 months in prison for stock fraud and corruption. This is following her husband's imprisonment related to his 2024 martial law declaration. Record-breaking heat wave breaks Australia's southeast for 5th straight day, fanning bushfires and straining the energy grid. Heatwave is worst since 2009 Black Saturday bushfires that killed 173 people in Victoria. SpaceX launched Falcon 9 rocket from Cape Canaveral, sending GPS-3 9 satellite to medium Earth orbit for US Space Force. The mission aims to strengthen the global positioning system. Emerging Asian currencies reached the highest since July as the dollar debasement trend gathers pace. And this comes after President Trump laid down dollar's deep decline and criticized some regional currencies. Novak Djokovic's bid to make more tennis history stays alive. The 24-time Grand Slam champion scrapes into the Australian Open semi-finals after Lorenzo Musetti retires injured while leading by 2 sets.
Against Zverev, hadn't had one prior to that since the 2019.
Unfortunately, due to injury,
Our top focus on WION at this hour. Maharashtra's Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar has died in a plane crash. Well, the aircraft, a Learjet 45, took off from Mumbai in the morning and was headed to Baramati. Besides Pawar, there were 2 other passengers along with a crew member and the pilot. The plane was being flown by Captain Shambhavi Pathak. Now, according to flight radar, the aircraft was clear for landing and was attempting a second approach to Baramati when it crashed. Eyewitnesses say rescue efforts began after the crash, but multiple explosions in quick succession left no chance of survival.
दुख भरी दर्द भरी घटना है ये। हमने देखा कि एयरप्लेन जब नीचे आया था ऐसा लग रहा था उसका क्रैश हो जाएगा ऐसा हम सोच रहे थे, तभी क्रैश हो गया। हम देखे कि हमें लगा नहीं क्रैश हो गया है, लेकिन एयर ट्रैप पे उतरेगा ऐसा लगा, उतर रहा है, लेकिन क्रैप हुआ और उसके बाद स्फोट हो गया उसका जबरदस्त। स्फोट होने के बाद वो हम देखने आए, पहले देखा तो उसको आग लगी थी पूरे प्लेन को, और उसके बाद 4-5 स्फोट हो गया विमान में उसका, और उसके बाद बहुत लोग आ गए और उसने निकालने की कोशिश की, लेकिन बड़ी आग लगी उसके कारण कोई मदद नहीं कर सकता। लेकिन सब आ गए, तब बाद में उसमें अजीत दादा था। ये हमारे लिए बहुत शौक की बात में है कि हमें बता नहीं सकते हम बात में ऐसा, लेकिन हमने देखा है कि पायलट ने भी ट्राई किया होगा कि लैंडिंग करने का, लेकिन लैंडिंग हुआ नहीं है। ये बहुत शौक वाली घटना है। हमने देखा पूरा एक नीचे आ रहा था, ट्रैप पे आ रहा था, ट्रैप के नजदीक 100 फुट से नजदीक आके गिर गया है।
Maharashtra has declared 3-day mourning. Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis has cancelled all his programs, and along with Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, he will be departing for Baramati shortly. A formal investigation has been launched by Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau (AAIB), with the team leaving for Baramati from Delhi. And during the course of the investigation, the probe team will retrieve the flight recording, enhanced ground proximity warning system (EGPWS) and digital engine electronic system DEES, airframe and engine logbooks, work orders, onboard documents, and major inspection records related to aircraft will be gathered from the operator for scrutiny. And we are now being joined live on the broadcast by Mr. R.K. Upadhyay. He's a senior journalist. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the broadcast.
Thank you, Diksha.
Well, Sir, Ajit Pawar was one of Maharashtra's longest-serving deputy chief ministers, known for his administrative reach and also the rural connect. In your view, what defined his political style and his appeal to voters?
Well, Diksha, Ajit Pawar has been an important politician emerging from Maharashtra, and he was growing politically. In fact, he's become the DCM for the 3rd time in the Maharashtra government. And, he was only 67. Unfortunately, this, tragedy has taken him away. But I'm sure he had a very, very bright future. But, this tragedy nobody expected and is gone. He he always grew in the shadow of his uncle, Sharad Pawar. Sharad Pawar is the one who launched the Nationalist Congress Party in 1999 when he broke away from the Congress, of Sonia Gandhi. So that is, since then he has been with his uncle, but his relations with the uncle has always not been very smooth, because he had his own ambitions, and he was hoping that he will be a successor to Sharad Pawar. But suddenly in 2009, Sharad Pawar brought his daughter, and then to politics. That is when the relationship changed within the family. So these tensions continued for a long time, and then I think in 2019 he broke away from Nationalist Congress Party to join hands with the BJP. And he and Devendra Fadnavis, got themselves, administered oath of office as Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister. Devendra Fadnavis was the Chief Minister, and Ajit Pawar was the Deputy CM. But he couldn't get his MLAs to back it, because they were all with Sharad Pawar. So that government of just two people collapsed within a matter of 80 hours.
Right.
So that is when he had to, get back to his uncle, and then he became part of a government, Congress and the NCP and the Shiv Sena government. But within another 3-4 years, he again broke away and then joined hands with the BJP. So in 2024 assembly elections, he had a clear edge over his uncle's party, and in this government, after the 2024 elections, he became the deputy chief minister along with the Shiv Sena's Shinde. So he was a rising figure within the government, and he had made a name for himself as a hard-working politician, and he ground level contacts was excellent. And if Devendra Fadnavis have let's say in another 3-4 years moved to the central government, probably Ajit Pawar would have emerged as the chief ministerial candidate of Maharashtra.
Right, and given the internal party realignments that have been a defining feature of Maharashtra's politics over the last few years, and also of certain reports surfacing of the merger of the two NCPs, how would you say Ajit Pawar's passing will reshape the future possibilities for the NCP's cohesion and also the direction?
Well, I think that is the crucial question now facing the NCP.